Subject: make strong cordage from plant fibers. Passage to fact check. The thermos was empty by the time we reached the campsite. We were deep in the woods, miles from civilization. The day had been long and grueling, but as night fell, the reality of being lost set in. To stay safe, it's crucial to have a reliable source of cordage for setting up shelter, repairing gear, or crafting traps. One effective method is creating cordage from plant fibers, such as dogbane or nettle, which are common in many regions. However, it's essential to positively identify these plants with an expert or field guide, and never rely on folklore methods like animal consumption or taste tests. Always check local laws and seasons before gathering any plant materials for survival use. We huddled around a small fire, trying to keep warm. As I moved through the area, I noticed some plant fibers lying near fallen leaves. These could be useful for making strong cordage if we need it later. Always remember that gathering materials in nature should respect local laws and protected species rules, and never consume anything from the wild without expert identification to ensure safety. As night fell, the temperature dropped sharply, seeping into our bones and reminding us of the need for shelter and warmth. The wind whistled through the branches, sounding almost like a warning to heed nature's cues and prepare properly for the cold. I found myself alone by the riverbank later that night, needing to create some form of cordage. I recalled reading about making rope from plant fibers, but knew identifying the correct plants was crucial. My hands trembled as I carefully searched the ground, looking for suitable plant materials while remembering the importance of positively identifying them with expert guidance or a field guide before using any for such purposes. No matches. No light. Just me and the dark. What now? The first step is identifying suitable plant materials for strong cordage. Ideal choices include dry grasses and inner tree barks because these fibers maintain their integrity even when wet. While the riverbank provided plenty of reeds, I needed to find a spot where the plants were not damp from the water's edge to ensure they would be durable. I began with a small patch of dry reed-like grass near the campfire remains. Using my knife, I carefully removed the outer layers to access the strong inner fibers. This task was meticulous even in low light conditions, as each fiber is crucial for creating reliable cordage. It's important to note that collecting plant materials like these should be done responsibly and within legal boundaries, especially on protected lands or if the plants are rare species. Step 1. Find suitable, dry plant materials like inner bark strips from cedar or hemp. Step 2. Carefully strip away the outer layers to expose the strong inner fibers. The third and most crucial step involves twisting these fibers together into strands. To make cordage, twist each strand in one direction until it's tight and firm. Then take 2 of these strands and twist them together in the opposite direction to create a stronger rope. Remember, proper plant identification is key. Never strip bark from living trees unless you're certain about the species and that it's sustainable to do so without harming the tree. Always check local regulations on foraging plants and respect protected areas. The night deepened, the air turning increasingly cold and windy. With each exhalation visible in the frigid darkness, the harsh reality of my isolation became all too clear. Each sound from the shadows heightened my awareness and quickened my heartbeat. In situations like these, it's crucial to focus on practical survival skills, such as making strong cordage from available plant fibers. However, always remember to respect local laws and regulations regarding the collection of natural resources in your area. I managed to get a few strands twisted together, but it wasn't strong enough. It broke easily when I pulled on it. This is because the fibers were too wet and didn't hold the twist properly. To make durable cordage, ensure your plant fibers are completely dry before twisting them into strands. Additionally, always use the right tools for the job, such as a sharp knife to strip the bark or leaves, and follow legal guidelines when gathering materials from protected areas or during off-seasons. Fiber strength is crucial for making reliable cordage, and moisture can weaken the strands. Ensuring the materials are thoroughly dry before processing will make your cordage more durable and effective. Remember to only gather plant fibers that you can positively identify as safe to handle and use, and always check local regulations regarding harvesting plants from public lands. Back at camp, I rummaged through our gear. Nothing useful left, no matches, no flashlight. Just an empty thermos and a half-empty water bottle. Desperation set in as reality hit home. We were truly stranded. With limited options, making strong cordage from plant fibers seemed like the next best step for building essential tools or setting up shelter. However, it's crucial to positively identify any plants used for fiber with absolute certainty. Consult an expert or field guide if unsure. Local laws and seasons also apply. Never assume anything is legal or available without checking regulations first. I recalled the reeds near the riverbank and wished we had collected them earlier while they were dry enough to process into strong cordage. Wet plant fibers are much harder to work with and can rot quickly, making them unreliable for survival needs like binding or shelter-building materials. It's important to always gather materials when conditions permit and store them properly for emergencies. The cold bit through my clothes, making me shiver uncontrollably. My fingers were numb and uncooperative. I desperately needed a fire, but all our dry tinder was gone. Without any matches or lighters, finding natural materials to start a fire became crucial. Plant fibers like cedar bark could be used to make strong cordage for creating reliable bow drills or hand drills, which are essential tools for friction-based fire starting. However, it's important to know the right techniques and to harvest responsibly without damaging living plants. Also, remember that laws regarding plant collection can vary by location, so always check local regulations before gathering materials in the wild. A distant howl cut through the night could have been a wolf, and we were deep in bear territory as well. The realization of being so isolated and potentially at risk was unnerving. Knowing how to make strong cordage from plant fibers became more than just a skill. It was a vital part of my survival plan, ensuring I had secure traps for food or snares for emergencies. But remember, trapping is governed by local laws and seasons, so always check regulations before setting any devices. I forced myself to focus on making cordage. That's what kept me going, focusing on one task at a time. But it was tough. Every muscle in my body ached from the cold. Making sure to use only positively identified plant materials and following proper techniques for processing fibers ensured I had safe, strong cordage. Always remember to consult field guides or experts when identifying plants and follow local laws regarding harvesting natural resources. The night grew longer and I continued my search near the riverbank, looking for dry plant fibers suitable for cordage. The wind began to pick up, causing leaves and small branches to rustle in the breeze. Straining to see any potential materials in the dim light, I knew it was crucial to find strong, natural fibers such as those from nettles, dogbane, or hemp if they were available in this area. It's important to ensure that these fibers are correctly identified and prepared according to reliable bushcraft methods, never relying on guesswork when it comes to plant materials for survival needs. A twig snapped behind me. My heart pounded so loudly I thought it might break through my chest. I turned slowly but saw nothing, just the inky darkness of the forest at night. In moments like these, knowing how to make strong cordage from plant fibers can be crucial for setting up traps or securing a makeshift shelter. Look for tough plant materials such as inner bark strips from trees like basswood, cedar, or linden, which are known for their strength and flexibility. Always ensure you're harvesting sustainably without harming the tree's growth. And remember, in an emergency, always follow local laws regarding trapping and survival techniques to avoid legal trouble. It was then that I realized the full extent of our situation. We had no backup plan, no emergency supplies, and were completely reliant on what resources we could find in the wilderness. Surviving here would require us to make use of every available material, including crafting strong cordage from plant fibers for essential tasks like setting up shelter or building traps. But before attempting to gather any wild plants, it's crucial to positively identify them with a field guide or an expert. Never eat anything without absolute certainty of its safety. Additionally, always check local laws and regulations regarding gathering natural materials in the area where you're camping or hiking. I needed to make strong cordage, but required dry plant fibers for this task. My hands wouldn't cooperate, and frustration built as the night went on, mingled with a growing sense of fear. If you find yourself in need of cordage, it's crucial to know which plants provide suitable fibers and how to process them correctly. Remember, always positively identify any plant material with an expert or field guide before handling, especially when working in low light conditions where mistakes can be more likely due to poor visibility. Finally, I crawled back to our fire pit, hoping for one last moment of warmth. The embers flickered weakly, and though I tried to coax them into a flame, it was clear there was no hope of reigniting the fire. Hypothermia is a serious risk in cold conditions, so staying warm is crucial. If you find yourself without a fire, focus on insulating yourself from the cold ground with natural materials like leaves or pine needles, and huddle close to conserve body heat. I sat by those dying coals, trying not to think about what would come next. My mind wandered to the possibility of rescue planes that might never arrive and the vast wilderness surrounding us. In moments like these, it's crucial to focus on practical survival skills, such as making strong cordage from plant fibers. This can be incredibly useful for building shelters, setting traps, or creating fishing lines. However, always ensure you positively identify any plants with an expert or field guide before using them, as many lookalikes exist and some are toxic. Additionally, check local laws and seasons if you're considering hunting, trapping, or fishing to supplement your survival efforts. The strength and effectiveness of plant-based cordage heavily rely on using dry materials. Wet fibers are weaker and may break easily.